Hey, somebody needs to wake up. You have? Excellent. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. You are listening to The Professional Noticer. Hello, everyone. I'm Andy Andrews. I thank you for making me a part of your week. My purpose here today and with every show we do is to play the part of a best friend or coach. I want to help you live the life of your wildest dreams by giving you access to the greatest mentors the world has to offer today. This week, The Professional Noticer is sponsored by WisdomHarbor.com. Wisdom Harbor's stated responsibility is to create the next greatest generation, starting with your hometown. For less than $3 a month, you have access to original content only found on WisdomHarbor.com that teaches, entertains, and builds character in young people while creating conversations between young people and the adults in their community. Utilizing video, audio, and the written word, content is delivered in small bites by Grammy winners, CEOs, comedians, chefs, best-selling authors, and Hall of Fame speakers. There are even guitar lessons from an award-winning songwriter. Check it out today and join your friends and neighbors who are already a part of WisdomHarbor.com. WisdomHarbor.com, creating America's next greatest generation, starting with your hometown. Observations and answers. That's what we do here on The Professional Noticer. And as you know, we love it when somebody comes to the table with both. Anytime you get in a conversation, you have observations and answers. It's special. And so this is what we have today. But I don't know if you're going to give observations, you're going to give answers, or you're going to give observations, or maybe you can do both. But we have some of our absolute favorite contributors to Wisdom Harbour here. We have Briley Crisafi and little M, Emily Isbell.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're not Isbell anymore, are you?
That's my middle name now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yes.
She's married.
Yes.
I just can't, little M is married. I feel like I have a junior high school friend who's married.
I know, and it's weird, right? Yeah. But I have an Italian last name now, so it's Cavaluzzi. So
Cavaluzzi.
Emily Isbell Cavaluzzi.
That's right. I see you on Instagram.
Yeah, on the gram.
And so, but I'm so glad you guys are here. And I'm sure that the people who are subscribing to Wisdom Harbour are already very familiar with you because we get letters, we get comments about the Bet You Didn't Knows and the In Other Words that you two perform. And I'm happy to have y'all here today.
Well, I'm honored to be here today. Thank you.
Same here. It's a good time.
Yeah. You're in town to record some stuff. And so with you in town, Briley, we said, let's get little Emma here and do some things. So I'm glad you had the time.
Yeah, of course.
What do you guys, what is the thing about Wisdom Harbour that I guess draws you to it? Because, you're contributors and neither of you have to do this, but you continue to help us out. You continue to present for these schools and these families. Mm-hmm. So what is it that kind of captured your imagination at the first?
That's a good question. I think Wisdom Harbour is one of the unique places in the world where, the way I always put it is it's an education and entertainment studio. And I love the way those things converge. It's a spot where it feels like you don't have to be drawn to just one thing. You don't have to be an ace of just one trade. It's for the people that are kind of jacks of many and passionate about pursuing that. To me, that's magic, because I think that's a very rare thing to find in our current culture.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I love that. What she said, and then I'll add on to that. We've talked about this so many times. Anytime I'm on anything that has to do with you, we talk about influencers and we talk about the world of social media and everything that has to do with that. And I would just think that everybody's content that's on social media has some sense of self. And so it's all self-promoting in some way because that's the world that we're in. So it's kind of how we have to market. You know what I mean?
Right.
But whenever you go to Wisdom Harbour, it's not about that. So you'll see your favorite musicians or, people that do all different types of things. But they'll be talking about something completely different, non-self-promoting, and they're just here for you. And so I love that. It establishes a totally new relationship. It changes the way that we do content. and it gives value to all generations and then families as well. And you get to meet these people that you love for what they do off Wisdom Harbour, on Wisdom Harbour for who they are. And I think it's so cool.
Wow. You guys are both. You're not only our viewers' favorites.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I'm telling you, Leslie Ann Tarabella and you two, Julie Richard, we hear more comments about y'all. And you guys are the two younger ones. And so I think people are curious about your backgrounds because, one reason we love having you and we love having you is I don't feel like it's hard for you to do what we ask you to do. You can come in and do a Bet You Didn't Know in 15 or 20 minutes and you're gone and you're leaving the editing and all this stuff to us. And same way with you. You came in yesterday and so I had 4 Bet You Didn't Knows, 2 in other words, because, Briley flew in from Palm Beach and so I think, okay, well, fill her day. And then before lunch, she's through with them.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so both of you seem to be such naturals. And there are very few mistakes. You make mistakes when you start laughing at something.
Or if you give me scripts with Italian in them.
Oh, that's right. We laughed at you doing the Da Vinci one.
Yes, the very first, I believe, that I ever did was the Da Vinci one, and that was very challenging.
That's crazy because the first I ever did was Mona Lisa.
Yeah, so I guess that's just how they break you in over here, because I was like, how do I say that word? And he was through the glass, like, mouthing it to me.
I was crying laughing.
It was hilarious.
Just crying laughing. So what prepared you guys? Because, and I won't name names, and none of them are contributors to Wisdom Harbour, but we have had a lot of people in here that have, narrated something or wanted to do part of their own book or do something, and we've helped them out. And we've had a lot of people in here who cannot get the words out. Now, I know that it is a God-given talent for me to be able to look at that prompter and just say it. I mean, Matt and I laugh because sometimes I find myself thinking about other things and my mouth and my eyes are still working.
Yeah.
And yet we've got some people that can sit over a book and can't get through a sentence. And so now I know they have other skills, other God-given talents. But what background, do you guys find that in yourself? Or are you just like, yeah, I can do this? Or did something prepare you for this?
Go ahead.
First of all, to piggyback off what you were just saying, and we were talking about this briefly yesterday, I totally agree. One of the things I love about being here and being around you all is I'm actually so humbled and just reminded the things that come naturally to us, we forget to value a lot of the time because they come naturally to us. We don't have to laboriously work at them. And then other people come along and they see all that value in that thing you can do. And you're like, oh, yeah, okay. All right, thank you. Yeah, thank you for that God-given gift. And I'll do the same to other people, looking at stuff that for them, it's no skin off their nose and I could never touch in a million years. So first of all, I think that's to be celebrated. And I think that's the reason, I think the most exciting part of life and of relationships is complementary skills and synergy. Like that's always been my favorite part of working on any team. But I did come out the womb. Walking, talking, singing, dancing. It's all I did. My mom said I said my first word, when I was 9 months old, and every day after that I didn't stop. It was just, so I love theater. My background's in professional dance and theater, and I love doing that. So I don't know, I guess by affiliation, just by something that's so in you, and it's what makes me tick, When something is what makes you tick, you can't help but kind of put your all into it and just love it that much. So I'm like you, I get in the studio, I start reading that, and it's fun for me.
I think that both of you have the same, we kind of share the same talent gift, that think on our feet, words coming out, we ain't really got to think about them that much. Right. And because of that, I guess I struggle with saying that it's God-given because it seems so natural to me. But then I look at somebody like Gordon Mote, who's one of our other contributors, a blind keyboard player, that when he was 3.5 years old, his parents heard music coming from the living room and the piano, and they were looking around with his aunts and uncles, and everybody that could play the piano was in the kitchen. And so who's playing the piano? And there's little blind Gordon playing Jesus Loves Me with both hands at 3.5. And so you can't deny it. That's just a God thing.
Yeah.
And because it's more spectacular than being able to talk, you kind of don't think of this as a... But what in your background fed this? Or where did you find you had it?
I just stumbled into it, to be honest with you. I mean, what I can say that I do know is that I've always been very passionate about communication.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily been like reading a teleprompter, delivering something. That started here, actually. So I learned that with you. But I did start very young. I was so passionate about speaking. So any opportunity in church or anytime that I could, I would jump up there. But it was genuinely because I cared about what I was saying. It wasn't because I wanted like the pat on the back or you're so young, so cool you're doing that.
Right.
I mean, that was cool. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? You're a kid and you're hearing those things. It's very interesting. So I'm not going to not say that like I heard it,
Right.
But I genuinely was just so passionate about hearing people say like, oh, whenever you said it like that, I heard it for the first time, and it was really cool. And so I think I've always cared a lot about really pouring into communication and really having things like hit home for people and helping them get somewhere as much as I can. But as far as like the teleprompter and things just kind of coming out as you go, I mean, I have no idea. That's something that I really learned to respect a lot through my dad speaking growing up.
Right.
And then working here for almost 2 years. That was something that I just soaked in like crazy.
Yeah.
And then I just watched you as much as possible. And then I jumped at the chance you gave me. And so learned from you.
Yeah.
You two are, I think there's a lot of speakers out there, but there are very few communicators. And I think the speakers that are not communicators do not know the difference. And you two are gifted communicators. And so you have, I think that you both have something to say to groups, to companies, to schools. And so, I'm glad that speaking is in your present and your future, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for you two. And I think there's also a lot of opportunity for a lot of us to listen and learn. And, this is why after we record this podcast, you two, I'm leaving and you two are going to sit at the table and talk and have, do an episode of what we call your show, the Generation Conversations. So this is the first time we've had two Gen Zs.
I know. It feels good.
It's going to be great.
A conversation
This is
together.
exciting.
Usually we have Emily interviewing an old person.
Oh my! No, this is fun though.
This
I'm like,
is so fun.
you get me, we get each other.
Yeah. Great.
So where do you see Wisdom Harbour being different from YouTube or anything else out there? Because I've tried to explain Wisdom Harbour. Sometimes people go, can't you see that on YouTube? And no, you can't.
No.
But how do you guys see this as different? How do you see this as valuable for a family or a school?
I'll kick off with that one. So I would actually say some, not all, some of the content, like we could say the how do I's, right? We do have some things like how do I make this or whatever it may be. Okay, you could argue that. You could say you could find it on YouTube.
Sure.
And I would say that that's true, right?
Not with our people.
Exactly.
But,
You can't find it with our people. And I could just tell you right now, it's not going to be the same. Everybody that's doing content like that on YouTube, for one, okay, for the family, you do not know if it's family friendly. I'm just going to say that first and foremost.
Right.
You don't know what it is. You don't know what the songs are. You don't know what the next suggested thing's going to be. Also, you don't, there's going to be advertising in that. And there's just a lot going on there. And it's just not, I wouldn't say it's a very safe place. I would keep the kids out.
I saw some Instagram thing about some dogs, and there was a boss dog coming into the to the fight. I don't know if you've seen that. And I thought, man, this is really interesting. And so then later I was trying to find it.
Yeah.
I was going to show Polly, and I found it, but it had a commenter on it.
Yep.
That was kind of and so I said, hey, look at this. There's kind of a guy talking about it, but you'll see what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it started, and it was all the F words and all of this.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Like, that's not what I meant.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Because on Wisdom Harbour, if anybody makes that argument, I can see where they're trying to come from, but it's just not entirely true. And also, you're missing all of the wisdom and all of the years and years and years of professional experience and talent that people are only giving to Wisdom Harbour. They're not giving that same style of content to anywhere else.
Right.
Well, that's interesting that you even just told that story, because what I was going to say when you were talking earlier is I've always found language itself to be the tie between everything I love. Language is storytelling, and then storytelling gets manifested in all these different ways of expression of the way we build culture and history. And I've been really passionate for a long time about the way that people in the, I'll say, arts and communications industry, they don't take any responsibility with what they're pumping out. We all recognize, wow, it's such a powerful medium. It speaks to people. It's infectious. It's what things are built on.
Right.
And yet we take that and we just are kind of lazy with the kind of integrity we attach to it. And so you have Wisdom Harbour, and now it's this pool of all these people that are incredibly talented. And like you said, they have these years of experience. They're being really intentional with the art and communication that they're pumping out. It's really responsible. Right. They know this is a weapon of mass destruction or a catalyst of, mass provision. And here's what I'm going to do with it. And it's in this place where that's the filter. It has to be at that standard. It has to be at that caliber to make it through the grate. And there you go.
Right. I think a lot of times that, Wisdom Harbour is not surface.
No.
Everything is so thought through.
Yes. And it goes through so many people and so many reviews. I mean, it's incredibly intentional.
And yet, at a pretty darn high speed.
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is why I look, I'm actually 34, and I look this old.
I know.
But yeah, it's always curious to me. I talk with Tammy quite frequently. Tammy Nance, our communications director, and she heads up the writers bunch.
Yeah, we love Tammy.
Yeah,
we do. Shout out Tammy.
Yeah, so she's putting together. She's going to be down here. She and John are coming down.
Oh,
like next week.
Oh, got to get together with them.
Yeah.
Tammy, reach out to me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm like leaving a message for Tammy.
Yeah. So
awesome.
But we, with this team here, that you're right, that everything goes through, and then the writers, and I'm seeing, when I'm doing my run through, I see who wrote it, and so I'm seeing who's hitting those marks and who's really, because I think there's a surface ply to entertainment, and it's. I coach a lot of companies, and one of the things that I tell CEOs is that you know how to do this better than anybody. But when you learn why what you do works as it does, then that's a different thing. And I think with Wisdom Harbour, we have learned why this works as it does, because when you learn why something works as it does, you can begin to use it in different areas that you see it fits that nobody else recognizes. And because it's a surface thing for most people, but when you dig deep as a parent or a grandparent, my biggest thing right now is creating these conversations, creating content that creates conversations between adults and young people. Because for the most part, today, the conversation that's happening is, for a grandparent to a grandchild, once you get past how's school going and how'd you do in the baseball game, there's nothing really left to talk about, because they, and I don't know about you guys, but when I grew up, there were things on television that my parents enjoyed that I enjoyed, and things that I enjoyed that my parents also enjoyed.
Because the writing used to be smarter. It was for everybody.
It did. It was for everybody. And so this is one of the things that we do with Wisdom Harbour.
Yeah.
So both of you have probably done more Bet You Didn't Knows than anything else, and maybe more than anybody else. And so do you have a particular one that you remember liking the most?
Fair Food.
Fair Food?
I think, was that what it's called, Matt? Okay, good. Yeah, Fair Food. I loved the Fair Food one. And the Bet You Didn't Know About Bees. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. The bees were
that was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are great. And you think, what is there to learn about Fair Food? I think you'd probably say there's a lot to learn about bees, but learning the history of some of that Fair Food, and once again, is it important that we know stuff about corn dogs and cotton candy and candied apples? Maybe not. But when you put that subject out there in such an interesting form that grandparents and young people both know what you're talking about, grandparents remember a different version, kids know what's being done at fairs now, and there's a conversation to be had there over Fair Food.
Yeah.
And so at a dinner table, so many people have nothing to talk about. And we find so many families playing one of these things before dinner. And now they got 30, 40 minutes to talk.
Right.
What was your favorite of yours?
Gosh. The opening lines that stick with me are just my favorite.
Oh,
Bet You
good.
Didn't Know, blah, blah, blah. It's like the first one I ever wrote, the first one after Mona Lisa was that there was a rhinoceros legitimately elected the governor of São Paulo, Brazil.
That's pretty great.
And this is a true fact of history. And then it launched into these crazy things about rhinoceroses. And it was the best. And I read it to one of my Spanish classes one day, actually. They had finished a test, and I'm like, hey, you guys want to know something? And I just launched into this, and they were all enthralled. They're like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's true. So I just love that it's impossible, basically, to spend 7 minutes listening to anything and not become smarter.
Oh,
it's like,
so
now you know that, know?
So true.
And what you were saying is, like, is it important to know this thing about corn dogs? I think the minute that we think we're done learning or something isn't important to know, why are you here anymore?
Ooh, such a good point.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
I love that. That's a good point.
Now, you guys both have, I want to get back to Wisdom Harbour, but I want to ask you something about yourselves right now. Because both of you have what I consider to be kind of unusual backgrounds for somebody as young as you both are. And so you're a professional choreographer. If I could say the word, I can't say the word. So you're doing something I can't even pronounce. But professional choreographer, you also teach Spanish.
Yes, sir.
That's so cool.
Thank you.
You're so cool.
You're so cool.
Can you dance in Spanish? But,
yeah. That's fun.
Interesting.
And you and your husband, you own your own business. I mean, you actually own a couple of businesses. You do social media for companies.
Yeah.
And then you've just opened Shore Fizz.
Yes, we have.
Which Shore Fizz is like taking over our town.
Yes, it is.
It is
weird.
unbelievable. Tell us what Shore Fizz is.
Okay, so Shore Fizz, first I have to tell you where Shore Fizz is to get to what Shore Fizz is.
Okay.
So Shore Fizz is located inside of Gulf Shores Family Pharmacy, and we believe in supporting small businesses, my husband and I. And so we love Stacey Davis, the owner of Gulf Shores Family Pharmacy. She also owns the Lillian Pharmacy, and she actually is one of my marketing clients. And so we were at a meeting, we were talking. It was so funny because the week prior, Walker and I, my husband, were both talking about how we'd love to open a dirty soda shop one day. It's called a dirty soda shop. That's because it has creams and other fun sweets that go into it, and people love it. And so we were just talking about that, but we had come to the conclusion that for this phase in our life, pulling out a business loan was not wise. So we were going to wait, save up more money, and hopefully do it ourselves. That was our plan. And so we were just kind of creating a longer term plan for something more exciting later. Well, I go and meet with Stacey about her marketing, And we get to talking afterwards just about catching up and things. And I'm like, well, the soda shop is so cool. Like, do you want me to promote that in your marketing, And she was like, oh, we actually had to close that down a year ago because, it's just, she's running everything, You have to choose where your time goes.
Sure.
And so she was choosing the pharmacy, which is obviously going to have to be the priority.
Right.
Well, anyways, I was like, oh, that's so crazy. We want to open a soda shop. That's so cool. Like, let me know when it opens back up. And anyway, she offered the space. So we lease it from her. And we have moved in. We've kept a lot of the character and charm because it was an old-timey soda fountain. It still is. We've just added some of that younger generation part. And then we've refreshed it, given it a fun, beachy name. And now it's crushing online. And we're so excited and didn't expect it at all. So we're having a really good time.
So
Praise the Lord. That's so
how
cool.
does, what do you make? What is one of your concoctions? I mean, other than going and pouring a Coca-Cola in a glass, what is...
So we have dirty sodas, and they're super popular in the Utah area. Have you heard of them?
I have.
Okay. And they're also taking over social media in
Notice
those
she asked
regions.
if you heard. She didn't ask if I heard. I interrupted.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
But we have, so on our menu, we have sparkling water-based drinks, lemonade-based drinks, and then we have energy-based drinks, and then sodas. And so what you can do is take any of those, and then you can add different things like lemon or lime juice to them. You can add syrups and creams. And we also have some other fun toppings, like we have little umbrellas and edible glitter that we put into them, and they just make it super cute. And then we also, of course, have ice cream because it was an old-timey soda fountain. So we have to have the ice cream. And anyway, but that's what we have. And to give you like a menu item, this one's going to be weird to you. This is my order. You're not going to understand this till you try it, and you just need to come by and try it.
Okay.
We do Dr. Pepper with lime juice and coconut cream. I know it sounds so weird, but it is really, really good. And
I believe you.
Yes, and everybody in our town, literally, except for the people that have moved from areas around Utah, haven't had dirty soda before, and it's trending online. Super
I've
big.
never had this.
Yeah, great. And a lot of people didn't know what it was unless you're mainly on TikTok, and so people came in and tried it, and now like all of these people love dirty soda, and so they're coming back, and we're excited.
You just had your opening weekend.
Yes.
And how many sodas did you sell in your opening weekend?
Over 1,500. And we completely sold out on our second day. And so we had to reorder and remake the menu overnight. And we were ready to go by day 3.
It's amazing.
Yes.
That's a lot of work.
Super exciting. No, it was amazing. And you want to know what the coolest part was? So it was all family and friend ran over our grand opening because Walker and I didn't think that it would be that busy. Mm-hmm. So we were just planning on working ourselves, and we didn't hire anybody. And so all of these people show up. We have a line. Literally, I can show you a video. I mean, it was wrapped all the way around the building. It was crazy.
No way.
Yes. Awesome. And I'm like, we didn't even soft open. This is my first time ever taking orders. Like, I don't know what to do. And so we had family and friends there just to celebrate. And they all just jumped behind the counter. And we had my dad and my mom going and getting more ice and cups and everything. So we sold out of all of it. It was insane. So we're just so grateful for the community that we have because that's what made SureFizz possible.
Now, when you're coming into town on Highway 59, before you get to the Canal Bridge, you guys are over on the right.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. I just want to kind of make sure.
Oh, yeah. Thanks.
SureFizz.
Yes.
I've got to come by there.
Yes, you got to.
And you're not open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays.
No, we're open. We're closed on Monday and Tuesday. We're open Wednesday through Sunday.
Oh,
right now we have limited hours because, again, we didn't expect for it to be this busy. So, but we're open from 12 to 8 right now. But we are getting a lot of people asking if we can open on Monday and Tuesday and then also open earlier. So we're working on all of those things. But yeah, we're just very, very grateful.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So thanks for talking to me about it.
Yeah.
I love to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now your whole family, is like actors and dancers and singers and impressionists.
Yeah. And it's the coolest gift ever because I was telling your beautiful wife yesterday, growing up, this is just how my siblings and I would play together, is we would dress up to the nines and put on productions. That was really fun for us. And I never took it for granted, but I've come to appreciate more and more and more people going, everybody in your family likes doing the same thing. And you guys just love working together. And I'm like, Yeah, man. They're my best friends and my biggest inspirations. And
your dad is a film director
Yes.
and producer,
That's
and
so
your
cool.
mother is an actress. Did they meet in California?
Right. So my dad was in school for film at Boston University, and my mom grew up. She was a dancer her whole life and was always very talented with writing and directing. They both moved out to California after college. She went to University of Florida and wound up working and meeting at 20th Century Fox. My dad was actually a creative exec at Sony. My mom was in casting. They met and got married and had me out in LA. And they knew that wasn't where they were going to raise their family ultimately. So we wound up moving back to North Palm Beach, Florida, which is where my mom's family had been since 1969.
Wow.
And the house they first moved into is where I live now,
Wow.
which is a huge blessing. And so we started a performing arts ministry years ago. And it got recognized by some other schools and such locally. We brought the program into different places. And now the private school where we work, we run a performing arts program. We had like 60 to 100 kids in the program total in that year. So every single year now we're putting on 3 to 4 full-length productions. And most of the time we write them because getting the rights to anything that is worth telling and has that many parts for a huge talented cast, it's ridiculous. So we write and we produce, and we have the most incredible AV team in the world, being my dad and this one gentleman from our church. And so my brother does film too. He's an amazing actor. My sisters and I all grew up doing classical ballet. And yeah, the dream is just, I always put it to keep getting bigger and better. But what I mean by that is reaching more people, being more in tune with what the calling really is, and just finding ways to bridge the gaps between a community, a true bona fide community.
I love that.
See, I don't know a family like yours that both parents were like Hollywood, and then they have 4 kids, and all of them are gifted in that way. It's like your brother and your brothers y'all are different. You know, you got
And that's
a
also
computer
really cool.
genius brother.
Right?
You got,
Yeah, it's true.
and so. Because, most families, if they have 4 kids, one of them's going to be a doctor and one of them's going to end up in prison. And so, but that all 4 of you guys kind of followed that same path and are still working together and still love each other and like each other.
I know. Well, and I'll say this. I talked about, synergy and those complementary skills earlier. There's definitely that. Like, I will always say my siblings get more brilliant and talented on down the line. There's stuff they can do that I'll just never be able to touch. And maybe vice versa, I hope, But that is why working together works. It's also the fact that we love being a team. And like you said, we just like each other. It makes us a bit of a target in terms of spiritual warfare.
Yeah.
And in terms of the exact mission that we're trying to do being attacked a lot of the time. And so you have to recognize that. And you have to protect that. And, my mom always says the reason she does this at all, it's to A, teach growth and confidence, but B, to remember you've got an audience of 1, and anything that you're given as a gift, something you're good at that comes naturally to you, you turn around and use it to bless other people and glorify your creator. So if that's the focus, wonderful. As soon as it's not, train wreck, I promise.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good stuff. That's good stuff. All right, one more Wisdom Harbour question.
Okay.
And that is, you guys obviously watch it as well as perform on it. So what story caught your attention, or what contributor? And I know you both love Leslie Ann Tarabella.
I know, that was going to be my answer. You can't tell me. I can't.
So you can't say Leslie Ann because Leslie Ann is a given.
Okay.
And so what pieces do you guys think of that you like so much, and what contributors are your favorites?
It's a wonderful question.
It's a loaded question.
Yeah.
It is.
You have so much on there. I'm going to start with Jimmy Uri.
I was going to
Okay.
say.
I love Jimmy Uri and Gordon Moat because
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for all the music contributors
Same,
as well. I
same.
think they're so cool. And that is one of the things I was referencing whenever I was saying, you know, you love them for what they are in the world and what you can see in public. But whenever you get onto Wisdom Harbour, it's like you're learning who they are. That
Yeah.
part is so cool. And that's something that's just this behind the scenes experience that's even more exciting. And so I am very, very attracted to that part of Wisdom Harbour.
Yeah.
I think it's really cool. I love all the cooking videos and the barbecue videos.
Yeah.
I think they're so exciting.
Totally.
Oh, Bob Woodall.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Big Bob.
Yes. And I love the camera work on all those. It's
Yeah.
really nice. Yeah.
It's, you know, it's funny to me that Jimmy and Gordon and Bob, I think part of the reason they love doing this and being a part of this is they get to do stuff they don't do
Exactly.
professionally.
Right.
You know, I mean, Gordon gets to cut up in a way he never gets to cut up
Right.
on stage, and Jimmy's doing Bet You Didn't Knows as well as doing the guitar lessons.
Yep.
And you know, with what is it, like $27 a year, and to get guitar lessons from a guy who's won 3 Song of the Year awards as a songwriter.
amazing.
I mean, you
That alone is sold.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool.
Completely.
So, what do you think?
Well, just on that note, I think the other reason that they're so enthralling to watch, I love everything you do with the musicians on there. I think it's amazing. I think people recognize that Wisdom Harbour is a place to not hold back. And I'll tell you what I mean by that is I got to be trained when I was growing up in dance by the wonderful Jill Nicholas, who spent 20 years as an original Fosse dancer on Broadway. This woman, though, she's so talented. She could keep every trick of the trade to herself. She could keep all the secrets to herself, you know, to preserve that and never really give you the real deal. That's not how she operates. She comes in and is so raw, so encouraging. She gives it all away. And that's what makes her beautiful and admirable as a teacher and as a performer is it's about sharing it, right? The people that come on to Wisdom Harbour, there's no gatekeeping. There's no need for, is this a safe place? Do I share this right here?
Right.
It's like, this is where to talk about it.
Yeah.
And that's really magical. So that's why I love listening to those people. But every time you do a history piece or Tammy writes a history piece,
so
like
true.
this World War II series that she's done about the women's spies in World War II.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm living for that. So
Yeah.
that's my other answer.
Yeah.
And the I Was Theirs.
Yes.
I was there.
Yes.
You know,
I have a
those,
special place in my heart for those.
those are, yeah, because you were involved in the first couple of those.
Yes.
And I love those too. Those are not easy to put together.
No,
You know,
they
I mean,
pull on your heartstrings. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
I was just telling somebody, was it maybe you and Polly last night? I was telling about T.G. Shepard
Yes, you were.
skating football with Elvis. You know?
Yeah.
Golly. So, but I love too. You know, Sugarcane Jane. They were the last guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
So, and I love everything they do. And Julie Richard out in Texas.
Yeah.
So, and Armin out in California.
Yeah, that's great.
I love Armin. Armin makes me laugh every time. You know, we will proof something. I don't see what Armin does. I don't. Matt does, but I don't see what Armin does until it comes back from one of our editors.
Right.
And Armin makes me laugh every time.
Yeah, he's got great delivery.
There's something that he'll do that he'll put in there that makes me laugh every
Yeah.
time. So, thank you guys so much. Is
Thank
there
you.
anything
you.
that I have missed? I feel like I could talk to both of you all day long.
I was going to say, well, the three of us could go on for hours.
Yeah.
But
We'll just have to do this again the next time.
Yes.
you're back.
Yeah,
That's exactly
definitely,
right.
definitely, and we will. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for being with us, and thank you for lending your talents to all these families and the schools that are doing Wisdom Harbour. And so I think we're creating something that will be great. You know,
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I will say, I know we just said that we're done, but I will say, I do hope that for all of the young people out there watching Wisdom Harbour, that they feel inspired
Yes.
by the younger presence on there, not because of what we do or what we may be gifted at or any of those things at all, but because it just means that there are plenty of ways that you guys can go out there and inspire people.
Yeah.
And that you can go and spread these messages about things. Like, that's what I would love, you know? Like, I think it's so awesome for all generations that they can connect through Wisdom Harbour. And I think that that's like the key there. But to piggyback on top of that, I just think it's so amazing that all of these young people can see that anybody of all ages is interested in cool things.
Yes.
You know, you don't outgrow that.
Right.
You don't outgrow learning about fair food. You know, like
Right.
you can have fun.
That's-
you know, and you can like learn about the world and the history of it, and you can learn how cool that things can be. And it doesn't have to just be about the news and what's trending and like what the right outfit is or like what all these different words mean. You know, there's just so many things out there online right now.
Yeah.
I am so grateful that there's a safe place for young people to be and a place for them to just learn and absorb things and to feel like they can go and pass exciting news on to other people.
You know, there's
great.
something else before you go, something else that I thought of as you were saying that. Occasionally I'll have somebody that owns a business say, I like this, but why should I get this for my whole business? Or,
Yeah.
you know, somebody, now what are kids getting out of this? And I think that one thing our viewers will notice when I call this to your attention, both of these young ladies are young ladies, and yet, and when we sat down in here, they said, what are we going to talk about? And I go, I don't know. Wisdom Harbour. You know, and you hear how brilliantly conversational and thoughtful both of them are. See, I think Wisdom Harbour brings people to a point of cultural literacy that most people don't have. And you know, most people can talk about what they know. And what they know is what was on TV last night and what the football scores are last weekend.
Yes.
And that's about all they can talk about. And yet, Wisdom Harbour gives a little bit of things, and you can follow up and learn more about them if you want to.
Yeah.
But you know, if you show me somebody that can only talk about football or only talk about country music or only talk about, you know, hunting or only talk about, if that's the only thing they can talk about, there's value, but it's limited value in our society today. But anybody who can talk about anything, I mean, you can join any conversation with any type of person, you know, a little bit about history, a little bit about Shakespeare, a little bit about, you know, music, a little bit about this, fair food. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many things because the thing that people are saying now, the thing that corporation CEOs are saying is the Gen Z people don't fit into what we're doing.
Right.
They, you know, they come with their head on a speakerphone or something, or, you know, they're looking at their phone or looking at a tablet, and there's no conversation.
I got to add something to this. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so this is making me think, and I know that we're supposed to be wrapping up, but now I'm just on a whole thing. So, and I just can't help it. So something that Walker and I have been really working on, and we're kind of developing like little mottos for the different businesses that we're involved in, and something we're starting to say a lot that we were inspired through some other people that we've met before that we love, is to say that we just love to serve people. And I think that's so lost on this generation, specifically because of the social media age. Like everything is about us, you know, it's about me. And that's just not the case. That's not really who we should be and how we should function in society to make things as peaceful as possible, right?
Right.
And so what I love about Wisdom Harbour as well is something interesting. Like you asked us what keeps us coming back. I wouldn't even just say that it's because, like, I don't think it's just because Briley, like, loves to be in front of the camera.
Right.
Or has all this talent, even though she's so cool, you know?
Right.
Like, I think it's because there's a passion about serving and about passing things on to other people and about that communication as a part of serving. And I think that Wisdom Harbour can inspire young people and old people as well, on top of all these other great things, to serve people, you know what I mean? And just to have this servant heart and this availability and this not rushed sense of life and time, and to just be willing to sit with them and to be like, how are you feeling? You know, like, how's everything
That's
going?
what the backbone of it is. That's what I was just going to say. The gateway into really being culturally literate is being interested in other people.
Yes.
And you, sir, are the best example of that I've ever seen in my life.
So
No. I mean this with all honesty, because you have lived a life nothing short of miraculous. And you could talk about it all the livelong day, but you spend your time talking to other people, asking about them and their experiences. And then that's how you are able to actually connect with them. Being interested in other people. Yeah, it's great to have this repertoire of a little bit of Shakespeare and a little bit of engineering and all these things. But when you know how to ask questions and you know how to actually listen to the answers, good job.
Right.
Yes.
You did it.
Yeah.
And just to wrap the whole thing in with a pretty little bow, okay? Because I just can't help myself. Something that I heard one time is that there was a study ran, and I can't tell you the details of when it was or where it was because I don't know. But I heard this when somebody was speaking, and it was so memorable for me. And you may know about it. There was a study ran where they sent a bunch of college students. It was communication students, I believe, on an airplane. Have you heard about this? They sent them all on an airplane, and they assigned them to sit by all the people that had single seats, so they didn't have anybody next to them. And the college students' tasks were to just only ask them questions the entire time. They were not allowed to say anything other than, "Hi, my name's Emily." You know, like
cool.
It was only, "What's your name? Oh, wow, that's so cool. Where are you from? You know, what do you love? What about this and this and this?" Well, they get off the plane, and then all the people who had the seat numbers that were by those kids were pulled to the side. And they were like, what did you think of Emily? Or what did you think of Briley? Or what did you think of these people? They're like, "Man, those were just the nicest, most smartest kids I've ever met in my entire life."
All they do is ask you questions.
Right?
Yes.
It's how you make other people feel.
And they remember how you made them feel. They don't remember even down to what you said. But if you're able to be in the conversation with them and ask them about what they're passionate about, communicate in such a high way and really just actually mean it, you know, that goes so far. Nobody's interested anymore.
Right.
So that is the bow on top of the thing. That's what I have.
That is awesome.
I have to keep going
I love
sometimes.
It. I'm glad.
Yes.
Thank you both.
Yes,
Thank you
thank you
both
so
for
much,
being
sir.
here. I appreciate y'all being here. And I'm Andy Andrews, the professional noticer, harnessing common sense and wisdom to plow through challenges all the way to an answer for you. And I think that'll do it for this week. Get us out of here, Matthew. So, ladies and gentlemen, and to the boys and girls who aspire to become ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of another episode of The Professional Noticer. In a world where common sense has become a superpower, I'm harnessing that tiny bit of mental energy I have for you, seeking wisdom, making observations, and endeavoring to answer tough questions in a way that will empower your family and your business. I'm Andy Andrews. Until next week, goodbye. This episode of The Professional Noticer was produced by Matt Lundert. The Noticer theme written and performed by Sugarcane Jane. Professionally mixed sodas from Shore Fizz for the cast and crew provided by Twinkle and Smoke of Beverly Hills. Additional financial consideration provided by Collaborations Incorporated, the people who bring you the finest music from unlikely sources. Do you love David Bowie? How about Bing Crosby? Well, it was the fine people at Collaborations Incorporated who put them together to do Little Drummer Boy on a television special in 1977. Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson? We did that. Trace Adkins and Stevie Wonder? John Mayer and Tony Bennett? Willie Nelson and Yo-Yo Ma? Yep, that was us. Now, Collaborations Incorporated is about to release a collection of long-lost recordings we have edited together. It's a collection of eclectic musical stylings featuring opera singer Beverly Sills, former L.A. anchorwoman Connie Chung, imprisoned comedian Bill Cosby, and country legend Johnny Cash. Collaborations Incorporated is holding a contest to name the group. Please send your suggestions care of the station to contest regarding Cosby, Sills, Cash, and Chung. We are Collaborations Incorporated.